My name's Nicole, and I'm calling because I'm concerned about a friend of mine.
He thought he was the smartest person in that room. He was wrong. August 15th, 2018. Chris Watts is calm. Almost eerily calm. His pregnant wife is missing. His two little girls, Bella, 4 years old, and Celeste, 3, are missing. And yet here he sits, in this windowless interrogation room, almost smiling. To the outside world, he was a devastated husband and father, pleading for his family's return on the evening news just hours before. But in this room, with the cameras rolling and the FBI watching, a very different Chris Watts was sitting in that chair. What he doesn't know is that he walked into a trap the moment he sat down. Because the people across from him aren't just local detectives. One of them is an FBI behavioral analyst, and she has already started reading him. Every word, every blink, every breath. This is the story of the psychological chess match that dismantled a killer in less than 48 hours, and the brilliant, calculated tactics that forced a narcissist to confess to one of the most devastating family murders in American history. Before any skilled interrogator goes for the throat, they do something that looks completely harmless. They make small talk. They ask about your morning, your job, your kids, what you had for breakfast. It feels casual, almost friendly, but it is a trap. Every single answer is data. Investigators are mapping exactly how you look, sound, and move when you are telling the truth. That map is called the baseline, and once they have it, every lie you tell will light up like a fire alarm. Watch Watts here. He is smooth, confident. His voice has an almost rehearsed warmth to it. His hands are open, a classic subconscious signal of openness and honesty. He genuinely believes he is the most composed person in that room. He is leaning into his nice guy image like a shield. Now watch what happens the second the questions become specific. The moment investigators press him on the timeline. Where was he? What did he do? What time did he leave? His body responds before his brain can stop it. His arms pull inward, crossing over his chest. His breathing subtly shifts. His eyes drop. In behavioral science, this is called adaptive shielding. His nervous system flagged danger and responded automatically, shielding his vital organs, closing off his body language. He didn't choose to do that. His body did it for him. The FBI now had their map. They knew exactly what Chris Watts looked like when the truth left the room.
Complete without anybody here.
Then came the hammer. The polygraph. Now here's what most people misunderstand about lie detector tests. The machine itself is not the most powerful thing in that room. What's powerful is what the machine does to the suspect's mind. The moment a suspect is hooked up to a polygraph, something shifts inside them. Suddenly, they believe that every lie, every racing heartbeat, every shallow breath is being recorded and exposed in real time. That belief changes everything. It creates a psychological pressure that even the most controlled liars struggle to contain. Watts tries to hold his ground. His mouth is calm, his voice is measured, but his physiology tells a completely different story. His body is fighting him from the inside, and he is losing. When the test ends, FBI agent Tammy Lee enters the room. And this is where you need to pay close attention, because what she does next is a masterclass in psychological pressure. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't slam evidence on the table. She doesn't accuse. She simply sits down, looks at him, and with the calm authority of someone who already knows the answer, she tells him that he has completely failed the polygraph. Watch his eyes in that moment. That flicker, that isn't anger, that isn't confusion. That is a man whose entire strategy just collapsed in real time. The charm failed. The grieving father performance failed. The machine, or more precisely his belief in the machine, just stripped away his last layer of armor. For the first time since sitting down, ChrisWatts doesn't know what his next move is. This is where the FBI executed something truly extraordinary. And to understand it, you need to understand who ChrisWatts actually was. ChrisWatts is a textbook narcissist, charming on the surface, deeply image-conscious underneath. A man who had spent his entire adult life carefully maintaining the illusion of being a good husband, a good father, a good neighbor. That image, that ego, was his most protected possession. And here's the thing about narcissists. You cannot break them by calling them a monster. If you go at them head-on, accuse them, shame them, attack their character, their ego hardens. They dig in, they fight, because admitting to being a monster means the image is gone forever. And to a narcissist, that is worse than prison. So the FBI didn't call him a monster. Instead, they handed him an exit door. Agent Lee suggests, carefully and almost sympathetically, that maybe Shanann was the problem. Maybe she did something to those little girls. And maybe Chris, desperate, heartbroken, protective, just reacted. Look at how fast he bites. He doesn't pause. He doesn't think. Because this story does something the truth never could. It lets him be the victim. It lets him confess while still holding on to a shred of that image he spent his whole life building. His ego grabs the lifeline. He confesses to killing Shanann, framing it as a reaction, a moment of rage triggered by her supposed actions against the children. He thinks he just found a way out. He thinks he just outplayed the FBI. He had no idea that the moment a suspect admits to the physical act of taking a life, the legal trap snaps shut permanently. The motive, the details, the narrative, those can be sorted out in a courtroom. The confession itself is irreversible. ChrisWatts just destroyed his own future, trying to protect his ego. 3 months after that interrogation room confession, ChrisWatts stood before a judge in Weld County, Colorado. There was no trial. He had pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty. 5 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of unlawful termination of a pregnancy. The victims, Shanann Watts, 34 years old, 15 weeks pregnant with a baby boy they had already named Nico. Bella Watts, 4 years old. Celeste Watts, 3 years old. Shanann's family sat in that courtroom. Her parents, her brother, people who had watched her build a life, a home, a family, a future, only to have it erased by the one person who was supposed to protect it. Shanann's father, Frank Rusek, stood up in that courtroom and said words that silenced the room. He looked directly at ChrisWatts and said, "You didn't just kill my daughter, you killed my entire family." Judge Marcelo Kopkow sentenced ChrisWatts to 5 consecutive life sentences, plus an additional 84 years, no possibility of parole, ever. There will be no second chances, no parole hearings, no appeals that will bring him home. Christopher Lee Watts will die inside a prison cell. Chris Watts is currently housed at Dodge Correctional Institution in Waupun, Wisconsin. Far from Colorado, far from the neighborhood where he dismantled his family. He was transferred out of state, reportedly for his own protection. Even inside prison walls, the nature of his crimes, murdering his pregnant wife and 2 toddlers, makes him a target. By multiple accounts, Watts spends much of his time in protective custody, isolated from the general prison population. The charming, smiling man from those news interviews does not exist in there. What remains is a man with nothing left to perform for. In letters he has written from prison, later made public, Watts has expressed what he calls remorse. He has said he thinks about his daughters every day. He has spoken about finding religion behind bars. Whether that remorse is genuine or simply another performance from a man who spent his whole life performing is something only ChrisWatts knows. What we do know is this: Bella and Celeste will never grow up. Shanann will never hold her son, and no amount of letters or prison religion changes that by a single breath. The FBI didn't break ChrisWatts with force. They didn't break him with anger. They broke him by understanding exactly who he was. A man so consumed by his own ego that he couldn't see the trap being built around him, one careful question at a time. They gave a narcissist a mirror and let him destroy himself in the reflection. Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and baby Nico deserved better than the story they got. But the one thing the system did right was making sure the man who took them never walks free again. If you want to go deeper into the psychological tactics, the criminal minds, and the cases that changed how we understand justice, subscribe. We break these stories down the way they deserve to be told. Drop a comment below. Do you think ChrisWatts' prison remorse is real, or is it just another performance? I want to know what you think.